to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about the Torchwood episode Reset, written by J.C. Whistler and is directed by Ashley Way. This is from series 2 of Torchwood, and is a very important part in the canonicity of Torchwood, as it reintroduces a character for Torchwood, that being the Doctor Who companion Martha Jones, which a lot of you may know as my favourite companion of the revived series. Martha Freeman is just a fantastic actress, and her character in Doctor Who was amazing. Although there was that plot line with her in love with the Doctor, and the Doctor being neglectful of that idea because he was in Legs and Rose. Blah, 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 blah. You could watch all my Series 3 vlogs on that if you're interested. But now she's in Torchwood. And this is actually the first time I've ever watched these stories. I've never, although I've known that she's in this series, I've never actually watched them, mainly because I had this idea of doing this marathon, and so I kind of saved these episodes up to do this. So I was really looking forward to this one. She would also appear in 2 more episodes in Torchwood before returning back into the Doctor Who series proper in The Poisonous Sky and the Sontaran stratagem. So that's really cool. That's the main gist of this story. That's the main interest, the main vocal point. So yeah, this is J.C. Whistler's only written work for Doctor Who in any capacity. He didn't do anything before this, and he hadn't done anything afterwards. I don't know if he did any other TV shows or something, but in terms of Doctor Who, this is his only work. And Ashley Way, as we've discussed before, has appeared in lots of stuff, especially with the TARDISodes and a few episodes of Torchwood itself. So that is a very interesting dynamic. So let's stop beating around the bush, is it? I don't know much about the popular consensus with this story, whether it's a popular story, whether it's a weak story, whether people like it or not. But all I know is that I was personally looking forward to this because Martha Jones is in it. So the story actually starts off with the tortured team investigating a body. Somebody has been found, a handful of people have been found dead, but they're examining this particular one, and he seems to be, has died from this poison which has been injected to them in the eye, which is just the idea of it is, I hate the idea of needles going in your eyes like that. And it's up to Jack and Owen and the rest of the torture team, of course, to get involved. But Jack has hired a Pacific doctor from UNIT, Unified Intelligence Task Force, to be their special guest, shall we say, to help them with this investigation, because they're helping UNIT out on this. UNIT, of course, being the established military force against aliens in the Doctor Who canon. And the start of this is phenomenal. We see this character's point of view. We see Yanto, and he's like, sorry, we're closed. This person shows a badge. Yanto's like, oh, sorry, madam. Step through those doors. I'll send you through. And he communicates to Jack. It's like, your special guest here. And then Jack gets excited. He's like, the Nightingale has finally arrived. And you hear Martha's theme before the doors opening and revealing that this guest character is Martha Jones. The fact that they got Martha's, I know they're both composed by Murray Gold, but the fact that they passed Martha's theme, her leitmotif, into Torchwood, just, and it's kind of like don't you like how in Jaws, where you hear his theme and it makes you suspenseful because you know he's coming? It's very similar in that, only that Martha's theme is just a gorgeous piece of ooh, ooh. No, that's not that. That's Dr. Forever. That's really bad. But it makes you anticipate, like, oh my god, it's Martha's theme. We're going to see Martha, and then Martha appears. This has sadly been spoilt in the next time trailer of the previous Tortured episode, Adam, where in the next time trailer, it shows Martha in it. So that leads into the credit scene, and then we get into the story. Now Martha here, she's a very different character from where we left off. Personality-wise, she's still very much the same. However, not only is she now a professional doctor, something she was training for during Series 3, which is nice to know that, her characterization of her being a medical doctor passes on in here. But now she's also working for Torchwood. Not Torchwood. Oh, well, she is working for Torchwood, but it's here where it's established that she works for UNIT. Something which should be playing a big part in her characterization in later stories, specifically in her Doctor Who episodes. So she's had a little bit of a character change here. And for the most part, for the first half of the episode, the story takes itself very lightly. The mystery of what's happening to these dead bodies is a concern, is a dramatic tension. But the main focus of this episode is the lighter moments with Martha, as the rest of the torture team learn from Martha, get experience, meet up with Martha. Owen shows her this device that they've scavenged. This device which seems to can teleport like a laser beam. So if he does a demonstration which fails in this case, where he puts a piece of paper in a cup and he says, "Watch me evaporate the paper without destroying the cup, without even touching the cup." Something that this is like a little joke, but it plays forth in later on in the episode. But it's here played as like a nice little banter moment, and Jack is like, this is going to end badly, as it leads into a joke of Owen accidentally calibrating it wrong and almost hitting Yanto, and Yanto just kind of panics and throws the tray up in the air. A lot of giggly moments. Jack and Martha have a scene with them in Jack's office where they just discuss like what's happening to them and how their lives have been, and how's Martha's family. I love just the caring nature of these characters. There's no needless dramatic tension between these characters. They just get along so nicely. And John Barrowman and Marta Freeman do a fantastic job at just being nice, friendly individuals, making her 10 times better than Rose Tyler. Period. End story. So, yeah, we also learned that Martha got the job after a UNIT soldier came up to her door and asked her, "Do you want a job? You've become as a highly likely source has recommended you to us." And it's heavily implied that it was the doctor who got her a job at UNIT. That's an interesting aspect, because the doctor kind of felt like had a guilt thing going on as he let all of Martha's family be basically tortured for a year by the Master. So it's kind of interesting that he would help her get a job that keeps her involved with alien activities and stuff. I don't know how her work in UNIT plays off on that, or how much the Doctor knows. But that's kind of interesting. Maybe he didn't think much of it. Maybe he just thought, she's trying to be a doctor. I know a vacancy. I'll contact my friends at UNIT. Maybe the Brigadier. Maybe the 10th Doctor rung up the Brigadier and was like, "Hey, Brigadier Alistair Lethbridge Stewart. I got a friend Martha. She wants to work as a doctor. I know you got a vacancy. Can you hire her?" "Oh yeah, cool, okay." That would be a really nice scene to see. But here it's left up like a kind of mystery as Jack and Martha kind of guess that you think it's him. I don't know. We also get like a scene with Martha and Gwen in which they have this discussion. It's like because Gwen has a very odd relationship with Jack and his company, because unlike most of the Torture team, she has been interacted with a few characters at this point, which Jack just seems to know. Like, Jack's personal life is a complete mystery to the rest of the Torchwood team. A great example is in, I can't remember the one with the fairies, where Jack basically talks about this old woman that he knows. In the novel Something in the Water, Jack has a friend, Professor Len, who he knew from the 70s, and Gwen's just like, hold on, how are you there? And so Martha's Martha's another mysterious figure, and so she tries to talk to her about how she knows Jack and how this is all something. It's really strange how nobody recognises her, because if one remembers, before the president was assassinated in The Sound of Drums, so before timelines got reverted back and the year that never happened, Martha, Jack and the Doctors were the fugitives. They were the first, second and third fugitives in all of Great Britain. And the Torchwood team doesn't recognise her. It might be a bit of a continuity issue there, but that's kind of strange when you watch these episodes back to back. You're like, hold on. They should know who Martha is, at least have an idea. And Gwen is like, so how do you know Jack? And it's like, oh, it's complicated. Oh, it's complicated. And there's kind of this fun little joke. It's like, that like Gwen, the way that Martha said it, Gwen suspects that Martha and Jack might have been a thing. And they're like, no, of course not. What about you? Are you and Jack a... Oh, no, of course. And then they kind of laugh. It's like, you must be the only two people on the planet that Jack has not slept with. And they kind of giggle about it, and Jack's like, come on, girls, you're talking about me. You better not be talking about me. So the first half is mainly bubbly and fun and engaging, and just seeing how characters interact with Martha in such a friendly way. We also have a scene which is probably nothing to most people who are watching this, but to me it's very odd. There's a scene where Martha and Owen are working together, just like a little montage of them working together. But in the background, they're listening to Feel Good Inc. by Gorillaz. Now, back then, I was a huge Gorilla fan. So to see my favourite companion ever since I was a kid, and them listening to music that I enjoyed as a kid, just brought back memories of like childhood memories. And if I watched this as a kid, that would have blew my head off. But that's just really strange here in Feel Good Inc., which is a great song, by the way, in Torchwood, and in a scene which features one of my favourite characters. And there's this whole mystery, because the story then leads back into the main plot when they find a character, or at least Yanto finds a character who has similar symptoms, who has this sort of virus that they've been tracked in all the bloodstreams, and these people have been attacked. The only difference is that this woman has survived, which then leads into our main thread, our main narrative. I wish, though, however, as much as I love the Martha scenes, and to be fair, it does work in the narrative, but the way it ties into the actual story, the actual threat of the narrative, I feel like the pacing here is a bit off. Like, instead of scenes of our characters getting along, sparkled throughout the adventure, it's like, right, we have this tons of moments of Martha working with the Torchwood team, and then we get into the narrative. As you cut into the narrative, there's still then two segments. There's the discoveries of it, where they learn about that these people have been injected by this poison that gets rid of all known evidence, and they suspect then that this is to cover up something that was in the bloodstream, something to get rid of evidence. And so they try talking to people, friends of the victims, and as well as the woman. They learn that one character who is now dead somehow is completely cured from diabetes, which is impossible. And then later on they learn that this woman, she had HIV, but now is completely cured to the point where there isn't even a trace of even a history of HIV in her bloodstream, which is just mental. And she gives off that she basically came up with this. She basically started with this secret organization that does like medical testing called the Farm, and so she starts having these fits as there's something in the bloodstream, and swarming out are these loads of tiny bugs as Owen and Martha, being the two medical ones and ones investigating her, are the ones to discover this. And I love the fact that there's a lot of scenes with Owen and Martha, sorry, because they just seem to get along and they just seem to have a nice bubbly personality. Owen seems to flirt with her, but she doesn't kind of pick it up. She kind of just is a lot more professional, a lot more in the work, and sees Owen as a nice, likeable character, and she gets along with him, but not in any sort of relationship capacity. In fact, she states at the end, almost in the end, that she has a boyfriend, and so I like these pairing. But Toshika sees this, and she does kind of like question Owen about it, about like how, you know, they're both medical doctors and they both know about aliens and all that. Maybe she's the one for you, but Owen's just like, no, she's way not my type. And I do like a friendly flirt, you know, helping her to become part of the team, but she was having none of it. And then Owen mentions about the game pool that Toshika had mentioned in an earlier episode in, was it Meat? I think it was Meat, where she asks Owen to be part of the go pool, and Owen believes that they're going to do a gang up. But then Toshika here announces, it's like, I was trying to ask you on a date. You didn't get it. Like, I was trying to ask you on a date, but you clearly didn't see it. I'm sorry. But Owen's like, you know what? Yeah, okay, we go on a date. That scene does kind of feel forced in this episode because nothing like that ever happens. And when characters say that in a situation like this, where the plot doesn't really revolve around them, and you just have this little a very important emotional pin on it, one of them's gonna die. That's just like, that was like a shorthand for, we are going to use this scene to emotionally scar you as we go into torture, kill, or completely mess up these characters. And when that scene happens, I was like, yeah, one of them's gonna bite the dust. Which is kind of a shame because that does kind of happen. In our main plot, which, like I said, pacing is a bit off because the main plot is in the second half of the episode. They basically track down the farm, and they basically decide one of them should go undercover and pretend to be somebody suitable for their experiment. And Martha recommends that she can go in herself. Now, Jack is completely confident because she has been through worse. As Jack knows, she has been through the year that never was, like with him. But she has been on it, like on the planet. There was a whole year where she was just not safe, but she survived because Martha saved the world as an average human being. How cool was that? The rest of the tortured team who don't know her question Jack is like, you can't put a civilian in there. It's way too risky. It's way too dangerous. But Jack is confident that she will be okay. And so we actually then get introduced to a new technology, which I know for a fact plays on in later stories. And these contact lenses, which the tortured team can use to contact people. They can write these messages and they can see and hear everything Martha does, but there's no trace of like a camera. It's literally just a contact lens, part of like alien technology, and there's no signals that can lead them back to Torchwood. Very cool. And so The second half of the episode is basically a little thriller of Martha going into the farm's base, trying to gain their trust, as well as sneaking in the night, trying to find out what's going on, hack into their computers whilst all of this going on. Now Jack and Owen actually try and question the leader of the farm, beginning with officially, like literally going up to the thing and questioning to the head at the first, not realising that he has a huge political power. He basically can do whatever he wants because the government allows him to. Now, what's interesting here is that the actor who plays him is Alan Dale. Alan Dale is in a Torchwood episode. For those of you who don't know, he's a big actor who has like loads of these like small but very great roles. I first saw him in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, but he's had a few other roles here and there. He's never done like a really big role, at least none I've seen, but he has a lot of great, and he plays a lot of villains. I feel though, however, for casting Alan Dale, he was kind of underutilized here. He does play a kind of generic, we are going to change the world, but the science, we don't care about how many lives we kill, we will keep experimenting for science, we are clearly the bad guys, and I don't care how many bodies we kill, how many people we kill, kind of attitude. And it is a kind shame because Alan Dale is such a fantastic actor, and that was really underutilising him. And he's only in it for a handful of scenes. The scene in which Martha goes out of her room after the scene which actually she's being tested, they don't actually know that she is part of Torchwood at the moment, and she tries to get them to basically keep her overnight because of experiments and stuff. But also as well, they don't want her to know that she's a doctor. They want her disguise is that she's just I can't remember what she said, a novelist? I think she was a journalist or something. So she tries to roll back her medical knowledge, which sometimes kind of like almost outs her, which is really intense. And so Martha on her own has to go through the scene and push her down herself. And if this was any other character, it would either be unimportant or feel really out of character. But for Martha, this seems just right. This seems like something she would do, and something which makes her kind of a badass to regular character. She kind of worries, she kind of panics, but she keeps her head level, she keeps it calm and collective. But while she's investigating, while she helps Torchwood hack into his computers, into the farm computers, there seems to be some sort of breakout, and so Martha goes to have a look, only to be courted, and basically the bad guys realise, right, she's working for Torchwood. Now, we've looked into your DNA, and there's something really strange about your immune system. We looked into your DNA in your cells, and there seems to be some sort of strange radiation, which means that you are a traveller in space and time. How is that possible? And this, your immune system might be perfect, it might be exactly what we need for our experiments. And it turns out that these people, they've been taking a lot of different parts of aliens' activities, as when she gets caught out, the rest of the Torchwood team basically barge in to try and rescue her with all guns blazing, trying to get in, and they discover that they have a weevil coat, and they have this giant insect, which is part of those loads of little insects that came out of that woman earlier on in the episode. And they basically reveal that these people are using aliens to try and create an immune system which will reset the human biography to completely cure any known diseases. It will cure everything. It is the ultimate vaccine. However, there's something goes wrong and it makes these bee things. And so to try and get rid of the evidence, do they hire this hitman? At one point, Owen tries to use the device again to try to talk to this assassin, because the torture team basically capture him and interrogate him, only to discover that he was actually taking the reset and there's a bug that's actually living inside of this assassin. And Owen tries to use the machine, only to fail, and his guts splatter out everywhere as the insect creature evaporates to death, leaving that this device is completely unsafe. And so the torture team go head first into the farm base. They find Martha, who has been given this the farm vaccine, this medicine which is about to kill her with all these bugs. And Owen only knows one way of getting this bug out safely, and that is by using this machine. It is kind of like, you do get the feeling it's like, right, this device was clearly set up earlier on to have this moment of intensity, but it does work. It's kind of noticeable, and it is kind of weak in that regard, but it does work in terms of leaving a scene with an absolute teeth gritting, nervous energy. And so Owen uses it, and it actually kills the insect inside Martha. And that basically ends the main narrative. And so they come out, and Jack is like, he tells Alan Dale's character, it's like, we're gonna stop you. Oh, you think I'm gonna ask permission? No, we are gonna set this place, we're gonna evacuate the place, and then we're gonna activate all of the system so that it will be contaminated and basically destroy all of their work, so that the government can't say anything about it. They can't salvage any of this. But Alan Dale's character is like, you can't do this. And he points a gun up and is about to shoot Martha, only for Owen to jump in front of her and get shot in the heart. He collapses onto the floor as Owen collapses to his death, and distorts Toshika and all the tortured team. And this actually leads into a cliffhanger into the next story, into the next episode, Dead Man's Walking. And so yeah, so the narrative doesn't really end here, but it is its own singular plot here. So that's Reset. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I think I enjoyed it more than I actually do, if that makes any sense. I think maybe the fact that Martha's in it and her interactions with the tortured team, and that gets a main focus, makes me like, I really enjoy those moments, and I really enjoy those segments, and her being my favourite companion. I do understand that I am blindsided by the fact that I really like those aspects. But the story itself, I feel, is rather weak. The actual plot doesn't get into the nitty and gritty until later on, and even still, it's split into two segments, leaving the pacing at a very odd terms, in which the villains have no time to really establish themselves as great villains. The threat doesn't feel that dangerous to what I think the narrative tries to tell us. And I feel like if it wasn't for the fact that Martha's in it, I would actually say this episode's a good episode to miss. But Martha's in it, and her scenes are great, and her interaction with the tortured team is great, and it's an important part of the tortured legacy as it leads into a plot line with Owen and his death, and obviously Martha being part of the tortured team in a trilogy of stories. So I guess you have to watch it in that regard, but it's not a particularly great story. I will admit, it's not a particularly good story. I think I enjoy it more than I actually like and analyze it, because I'm just having so much fun with our characters, our main characters. And so I can understand why J.C. Whistler wrote only this one episode. I can kind of see him writing this and being like, this isn't for me, and going off and doing other things. So that's Reset. I enjoyed it. I don't think a lot of people will enjoy it. So join me next time when the Doctor takes Donna Noble into the distant past where it's Volcano Day. And I'll see you next time for the fire of Pompeii. And I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-da!